What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. And we're going to be getting in today, well, we're actually going to be getting into a project that I started the day before I went out to Coral Canyon and did Rattlesnake Trail. And specifically, it was to replace my onboard air because my compressor at the time was like cutting out. And since it was cutting out, like it was just like getting frustrated because when you're on the trail, you want to be able to, not only fill up, but you kind of want to be able to fill up fast. So being able to fill up fast is why I decided to purchase the definitely the more expensive option, the ARB Dual Compressor. So what you're going to see, what's different than some of the other installs, is at least I couldn't find many installations out there on TJs or LJs. And so what this is doing is not only showing you how I went to install it on my TJ, LJ, and I think it might even be applicable for XJ, but also how to connect the pump to the compressor to the stock switches on the dash. So without using their dash, I'm using my stock switches to make it just a little bit more clean. All right, I got a plan in place. Let's go ahead and send it. All right, so here is the dual ARB compressor. Now there's a couple of things I want to do. Number one, I want to kind of make sure everything is here, and I will do that off camera, but I'm just letting you know because the box kind of came opened, and so, or at least damaged, and I want to just make sure that I got everything. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that offline, and I'll do that here in just a second. But as far as just kind of showing a quick unboxing of it, which is really not much here, but we got the ARB compressor switch itself. So we'll be putting that to use. We got the power connection. I moved over here to the side the two filters that are removable, and then the wiring to connect it all, to include wiring to connect the ARB lockers if you wanted to use this for it. Me, I'm going to be using this only for onboard air going to my pump. So a couple of things that I wanted to do first, I'd say the only thing that I really wanted to do first was get an idea for how big it is, because I could not find anything explicitly online to give me the dimensions here. So we are approximately 11¼ to 11½ long, and we are just about 8 inches deep and about just under 4½ inches high, depending on which way you're going to go ahead and install this. So I'm going to go ahead and hop offline real fast. I'm going to make sure I got everything. It appears I do, but I just want to double check. So I'm just going to highlight this here because the contents are on the side of the box, not within the manual itself. So this is where you're going to have to go in order to make sure that you have everything, which I do. Now, and the other thing that I'm going to quickly highlight is, I guess two things. It comes with this installation sort of a place where to set up and sort of drill through to give yourself a good template for when you actually go to mount it on to specific locations. And then also the specs that I was originally looking for are in the back of the user manual here. And this is explicitly in inches because it does have in millimeters too. It's 4 inches high and a 7½ by 10.8 length versus width, however you want to play with. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to head out to the Jeep, and we're going to see if this will fit where my current compressor is, or if I'm going to have to find another one. We'll see here in a second. All right, the goal here is to be able to put it where I currently have my onboard air, and I will say that I'm replacing my onboard air because I didn't realize it has. Well, it says it has a max. It says it has a 100% duty cycle, but it's been overheating a lot, and basically when that happens, it shuts off, and you're supposed to let it basically rest for about 30 minutes. And when I'm using it, I don't want to wait 30 minutes, so I'm getting it a little bit more reliable, or at least that's the intent with the ARB that I read has just great reviews, etc. So we're going to try to put it in here. So let's get a real quick feel for here. All right, I think I have a path to be able to go ahead and successfully mount it into this location. It's going to be a little bit tight, but I'm going to plan to create a bracket so it stands up this way. And I'll show you the dimensions when I actually get the metal and everything on how I'm going to do it. But I need to head to Home Depot first before I start taking everything off. So I'm going to head there, get the parts that I think I need, and then we're going to go ahead and install it and start taking things out and see if I can't get it done before maybe the next rain comes in. All right, let's send it. was planning to head out to Tierra del Sol this week, today, but it was too windy out there. Getting out there to the desert when you're on gusts above 40 just isn't pleasant, so I decided not to go. But right now I'm kind of showing you the intent here on what I want to do, or try to do, is create a bracket to where that everything will be able to stand up on its own for the most part. And I think I'm going to probably do something like this, to where I wrap something over on both sides to kind of give it stability. Plus it's going to have the brake drum here, and it'll be able to hold, provide a little bit of support. But for the most part, I'm just trying to find a good way for this to be suspended and still be able to somewhat be able to access the filters, and then also, if necessary, the hose connection itself. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys up, and you're gonna basically see me on a series of time lapse trying to go ahead and figure out how to mark this, and then how to mount it, I should say, and then I'm gonna mark it up and I'm gonna drill it, and hopefully we'll be painting and installing today, but I feel like it's probably gonna last over at least one more day. So I'm not gonna have onboard air for tomorrow, but it's all good. It's for the greater good, I should say. All right, let's send it. Good morning, good morning. I have been cleaning things up, getting the wiring, and I got the installation just about to where I want it. And so this is with the exception of, for another video, for me fixing some of this rat nest here on the steel braided lines here, mostly here and down below. I want to create one straight line going all the way to the tank, to the fitting here on the air compressor. I'll learn how to do the Army Navy or the AN fittings later, so I can create my own custom hoses to the exact length I want. But today what we're going to be focusing on is getting the power hooked up and hopefully getting the switch ultimately mounted inside the cabin. But at least at a minimum today, as soon as I connect the power, which is going to be the next step, we're going to go ahead and do a test and see if it at least is operational. And just to kind of give you a quick preview of what's to come, I'm going to be adding to this bird's nest of the power coming to the line here, to the positive cable. And so what I want to do on a later video, and I've actually already bought the part, is get a power distribution block. And I'm probably going to try to get it back here to where I got my speedo healer up there and just kind of maybe reroute some things, but that's going to be pretty tight because it's actually a fairly decent size. But as you can see, I got quite a few things I need to tidy up, and I've had to change the battery on this once, and then trying to get to this battery just isn't fun. So I want to, in addition to kind of clean things up, make it so when I do have to change the battery every 3 to 5 years, that it's a little bit easier than what I just went through. All right, let's send it. right, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. So definitely not the cleanest install out there, but it's effective. And also being that it's my second thing I've ever fabricated in metal, I think ever, if not for the Jeep, you know, I'll go ahead and take it. And also what I'll say is, you know, after I did the initial test where I tested it to 150 PSI to make sure that the safety shutoff switch was working, that I went ahead and I filled up all the tires for my wife's vehicle, my Acura, and my Jeep, and I am very impressed on how better it's doing compared to the previous compressor I had. So even though that compressor was giving me issues and, you know, I needed to replace it anyways, I'm definitely happy that I went with the dual ARB. The more expensive option, so is that good for you guys? You know, you guys decide, but right now I'm very impressed. So, and also I hope for those fellow TJ, LJ, XJ potentially, you guys kind of like the straightforward wiring, how I set up in that lesson learned, that you really don't need to send the ARB wiring link through the firewall. You just need to connect that one fire and route one wire into the engine compartment and connect it there, and that'll do you just fine. But anyway, so as I do with any products, 1 year out from round about today, I'll go ahead and do a product review after the 1 year review, I should say. And if anything comes up in the meantime, I'll let you know then too. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.